Thank you all for joining us tonight for this presentation and Q&A. Those of you here and those of you online as well. My name is Jason St. Peter. I am chair of the Monument Mountain Building Project. I'm also a school committee member and I live in Stockbridge. Just to kind of go over the format here, we're going to Dr. Dillon and Superintendent as well as Dr. Disco in my earphone, maybe. Concise but brief 20-minute or so presentation. You must have changed something. We'll get right to any questions and answers that you have. We just ask that you hold any questions for the presentation. We'll be as quick as we can, but as concise so that all the information you have is out there. So the school building committee is formed of administrators, school committee members, teachers, community members, students, a broad range of people from.
You must have changed something. I didn't touch it.
Steve Dan, chair of the school committee, Sarah Borla, school committee member from West Stockbridge, Steve Boyd, community member from West Stockbridge, Dr. Dillon, Christopher Barnes, our principal, Bill Fields, retired teacher, school committee member, a resident of Houstonic, Eric Gabriel, community member from Houstonic, Sharon Harrison, a business administrator, Steve Schatz, community member from Stockbridge, Diane Singer, school committee member from Great Barrington, Steve Soul, director of operations, myself, Kara Stone Sean, teacher, librarian, also resident of Great Barrington, Amy Triano, community member from Houstonic, and then Nancy Dane from the Warren Street.
This wire.
We're really fortunate to have some excellent help in this process. Our owner's project manager is Skanska Design, and our architects is a team effort from Danisco Design and William Long Associates. We've been very fortunate to be chosen by what is called the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA. Partner with them. They're a public organization that partners with Massachusetts communities to support and design, construct educationally appropriate, flexible, sustainable, and cost-effective public schools.
Is everyone on it?
There's a microphone closer, maybe.
Okay. I'll be a little. Is that better? Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. So the MSBA is an extremely competitive process. Not only do they lend their expertise, their data, they do almost virtually all of the public school renovations and new additions, but they also contribute financially. To our project, they're pledging over $61 million. To qualify, you must demonstrate both educational and a facility need. We were one of 10 schools selected out of 54 back in 2022, and this process has gotten even more competitive since then. There's a module formula that they go through. I'm not going to labor on that, but as you can see, right now we're at module 5, funding for the project. After that comes the detailed design, construction, and completion of the project. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Dillon, and he's going to go over some of our needs. Thank you.
You could just click it for me. So I'm just going to talk to two slides. This slide is around the need for this. So there's broad consensus, and there has been since 2010, that we need to do something about this building. It doesn't meet our current educational needs, and it limits our ability to support high-quality learning and instruction. In addition to that, and I won't read through all of these, the building's just reaching about 60 years, and the investment that we'd have to make it worthwhile going forward doesn't make sense, and we'll talk some more about that.
Battery went dead. We're saying the battery's going dead.
We're trying to.
The laptop needs to be plugged in.
Yeah, it is.
You have a power?
Sorry. There's the outlets aren't working in this.
Right here.
Don't
Number one Cinderella.
So sorry, everyone.
While we're waiting for that to come up, I'll just talk from the slide off my own laptop. So what's really important for us is to set up the building to really meet the needs of all learners. And that includes a wide range of strong academic programs, ones that academic, AP classes, appropriate spaces there, but also a renewed emphasis on our vocational programs. We currently have 3 programs, a horticulture program, an automotive program, and an early childhood program. And with the building, we've got permission from the state to add a 4th program, an electricity program. So that's something we're excited about. We also have a number of pathways which are a different standard, and those are in business, health and human services, and advanced manufacturing, all of those partnering with local businesses, hospitals, Fairview, places like that. We continue our commitment to the arts writ large, drama, music, and the visual arts. We need expanded opportunities for phys ed and wellness, and we'll talk about how the new building affords us some of those, and then specific programs to meet the wide range of specialized needs of our students. Okay, I'm going to have Donna talk through the next few slides.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure our battery is on. You all can hear me okay? Awesome. Okay, sorry about that. We started this journey almost 2 years ago, and we really have enjoyed getting to know so many of you. It's really clear to us that the community is invested in the students and your staff as well. Listening to all of the visioning sessions, the input we've received for almost 2 years, we believe that the solution that is before you really addresses all of your goals. Educationally, as Dr. Dillon was just stating, it really addresses all of your needs educationally. It also addresses the health, safety, and wellness of the staff and students, as well as the community. And it really is aligned with your values. It's a cost-effective solution. It's constructed with durable and quality materials that will be easily maintained for generations to come. So everyone knows how important sustainability is these days. You cannot build anything, whether it's where you live, where you work, or where you learn. This school is no exception. We have designed an all-electric building that will be ready to accept solar canopies in the parking lot or on the roof, and it could be a net zero building. In addition to that, other important aspects of being a sustainable building is it does address climate resiliency, but some other things such as healthy indoor environment and daylighting and views. Those are more not as apparent as seeing the solar on the roof, but it's a really important feature that we're really proud to say is included as part of the design. We are going to be utilizing ground source heat pumps, which is the most efficient way to reduce the overall energy. You can see we did already drill 1, and so now we have 109 to go. But we're really excited that this will set you up to be as energy efficient as possible, and we are tracking an EUI of 25 for those that know this index that will set you up to be net zero ready. Just some real quick improvements that we're addressing for the site, which was also a really important consideration for the project. The existing school now, everyone enters off of Route 7 or Stockbridge Road. We've spent a lot of time speaking with the first responders, police, fire, even Mass State Police, our EMTs, and everyone agreed that it made sense to have two means of egress onto and off the site. So in blue is where all parents, staff, and students would enter, along with special education vans that for students that require additional time for loading and unloading. And then all of the buses would enter off of Monument Valley Road. They would have their own dedicated loop, and then they would leave. And that significantly would improve the congestion at the end of the day. In addition, first responders have access all the way around the building, which was a really important consideration for them. Some other really great features to the overall design are how we can embrace the site. You have an amazing site. We will have a very compact footprint. It's a 3-story building, so it will be very compact, which allows us to really open up the site and embrace the beauty of it. The existing school is right where this drop-off loop is. This building will come down and we'll be able to increase the circulation for drop-off and pickup, and then a new practice field would go in its place. But in addition to that, we started thinking about students love to be outside, and what a sight to have that happen. So we've created other outdoor learning opportunities, whether it's an arts courtyard directly off the art classrooms. We have a proper early childhood playground area directly off of the early childhood program. A terrace for outdoor eating, and also along the science labs that are located here, with the new greenhouse up at the school so the horticulture program can be at the building. This is, again, it's a 3-story compact footprint. We are taking advantage of the topography of the site. This is the main drive coming in off of Stockbridge Road. You would come up, and this is the main entry. This is also the first floor, the middle floor of the building. What features are on this floor is we have the administration up at the front that will provide safety, security, and oversight of people coming and going out of the building. We have the auditorium with a large lobby area for receptions, and the gymnasium, which also will have access through another means of egress onto the fields. In addition, the automotive shop, along with the electricity program, will be located on the first floor, so the public-facing programs such as the automotive would have direct access onto the site. We have thought very carefully, with a lot of input from staff and from the leadership team, is they want the flexibility as programs shift over the years. So we've organized it. What's in purple are the academic spaces. We've grouped the classrooms so that they will provide you the flexibility in the future, and they'll all be exactly the same, with the exception of the science labs. If you go up one floor, which is really the top floor, really is mostly academic spaces, and the media center, the library, will be the hub of this second floor with views looking out to Monument Mountain. If you go down one level from the main entry floor, you come down to the ground floor. And the cafeteria is located here, which will allow everyone access directly outside for eating outside, as well as terraces for integrated programming, such as the horticulture with the greenhouse. Science labs can take advantage of the outdoors as well. And then we have the early childhood program on this floor with direct access to the outside for parents to bring their students directly in without having to bring them all the way through the school. And the arts round off the lower level or ground floor, where we also have areas for them to extend their art programs outside. So what we've done is we've compiled a little video that will hopefully give you a glimpse of what is to come with your new school. Okay, while Victoria's going to try to figure out how to get that up. Bottom line is we understand how important the building costs, and we understand this is a significant investment and a really big ask for the community. We started back in July of '24 with an order of magnitude cost of the building or the project itself costing approximately $180 million, with a local share of $126 million. Recognizing this was just beyond approachable for the community, we spent a lot of time looking at ways that we can reduce the cost, whether it was through efficiencies, utilization, maximizing the utilization, reducing some of the spaces because they could have been redundant. We found all kinds of ways that we could reduce the project from 180 to 154, resulting in just shy of $100 million to the local taxpayer. But we really felt that still we didn't want to stop there, and we still haven't stopped. When the project is approved on November 4th, we're going to continue to look at ways to reduce costs. But where we stand and where MSBA approved the project is that it's approximately $152 million overall project cost, with the state's reimbursement to us, as well as the mass save incentives, because we'll be utilizing ground source heat pumps. The local share is approximately $89 million.
So this is going live right now or today on the project website, monumentbuildingproject.org. If you go, you can go right to the site and find it on there, or if you want to go right to this page, it's monumentbuildingproject.org/tax-impact-calculator. There are directions on how to find the assessed value in your town. Once you get that, you just plug in your town, your assessed value, and it will spit out exactly what your added yearly tax bill will be. So again, looking at the project budget, out of $152 million budget, the state aid $61 million, mass save 1.6, and then the local share will be $89 million. So that should be on the website now or very soon. Obviously, that's a lot of money, and as a building committee, we, overturned every stone trying to look at other options. Really, we have obviously hundreds of students every year from the 3 towns going through these schools, so we need a school, a physical building to educate them. So we looked at, what would the repairs be what could we do to repair this building? Again, this information, how we got this number, $89 million to just make repairs and bring it up to code, is on the website, monumentbuildingproject.org. If you go to that website, there's a 23-page article on how those numbers were arrived. If you have trouble finding it because there's a lot of information on that website, just shoot us a question in the Q&A and someone will get back to you. So how did that $89 million get there? This slide shows that. So on the left is the individual repairs needed to do. HVAC system, $21.1 million. The boiler is original to the school, 60 years old. It's been obsolete for decades. The parts to fix it are obsolete. It's getting harder and harder for people to manufacture any broken equipment, so that's going to be needing to be done sooner rather than later. Roof, exterior windows and doors are, again, pushing 60 years old, original to the school. Windows are all single pane, walk-through windows. They've lost all their ability to keep heat in what little they had. So that's the left side. If you go down, it's about $59 million subtotal. The right side are triggers. We're grandfathered in because of the age of the building, but it's not handicapped accessible, and it doesn't have fire sprinklers. If it's, to make it easy, over a 5-year period, if you spend more than 33% on any of these upgrades, which is a little less than $5 million, you trigger these upgrades. So, the MAAB compliance, $7.4 million, which is the handicapped accessible, as well as about $5 million for the fire sprinkler system. So you add that on to the $59 million, added soft costs, and it's about $89 million. Obviously, this isn't going to be a 2.5 to 3 year project. This would be 5, 10 years, even more. You're not going to do this during the summertime, so it would be obviously disruptive to the students, and the variability for that long of a time period going forward is a lot greater risk of cost overrun. So the project schedule, if approved, this chart basically shows that everyone in the current middle school will have at least 1 year in the new building. If it's approved, we'll start June 2027, 2.5 years later, the fall 2029, it'll be completed, and all the site work will be done in the summer of 2030. So what's that? Just about 3 year time period, from soup to nuts, it'll be done. The community benefits of a new school. Enhanced access for community needs and events. The location of the auditorium, gym, cafeteria will be a lot better for safe and easy community access. Improved public-facing career and technical programs. The early childhood, the automotive will be a lot easier accessible to the public. It's obviously going to be a lot more green school, sustainability elements to reduce energy use, carbon emissions, embodied carbon, healthy indoor environment. Unfortunately, in this day and age, campus safety is a huge factor, and this building will be, magnitudes degrees safer than what we have now. And as well as traffic improvements, as far as the safety goes, as Donna described in her her traffic flow, the improvements there, especially with the buses going off of Monument Valley Road, will increase the safety. And this is really an investment in our community and our future. Again, it's a lot of money, and all of us on the committee are well aware of tax implications, but we feel this is by far the best use of our money, and that our kids need a school, they need a physical building. It's just not worth putting money into the one we have now. The educational returns are not nearly as much as they would be in a new school, and the price is about the same. So going forward, if you haven't had enough or you think of any other questions or just like coming to these kind of gatherings, we have more events in the community. All 4 libraries, West Stockbridge Library on October 6th, the Mason Library in Great Barrington on the 7th, as well as the Stockbridge Library on the 7th, back-to-back. We'll be in Housatonic at the Ramsdale Library on October 15th, and then at the Senior Center in Great Barrington on the 16th.
So one question that keeps coming up is, how did we get to the student enrollment number of 485? And this is one that I keep answering, and sometimes people hear it and sometimes people don't hear it. We worked really closely with the MSBA, and they did an enrollment study. Actually, they did 2 enrollment studies, and they got to the number of 485 based on a whole number of past trends, birth rates, student movement, anticipated housing that's about to come online in the 3 district towns. People wonder, why is it in the MSBA's interest to get this number right? And there are really 2 reasons. If they overbuild, they have less money and resources to invest in other projects. So they don't want to go too high with their number. And if they underbuild, then schools and communities would come back and ask them to build additions and would also limit their resources. So they feel good about the 485 number. We think it's accurate. You know who's likely coming based on who's been born already. When you get to try to anticipate who's gonna be born, it gets a little fuzzier. But for people that have been born already, we have a good sense of where we're gonna land. If somebody wants to go into the weeds on this, there is a full enrollment study from 2022, and that's in the documents section of the building project's website. And you could go and look at the numbers and the assumptions behind the numbers. So that's a question that comes up. That number does include school choice. There are whole different parts of it. So as a school district, we report our numbers on October 1st of every year, but we don't really share it on October 1st. It's probably October 20th, but that's the snapshot we use. So based on last year's numbers, 277 students were from the 3 towns. 49 students were tuition students from Richmond, Otis, and Sandusfield that are coming in at a different rate, and 120 students were choice students based on that number. That comes in a little less than the 485, but when the building comes online, we anticipate the number will be 485.
So then our current school system is good enough that 25% of the enrollment in our school is coming from somewhere else. And we were told earlier in the presentation that all the other schools have been upgraded except us, but 25% of our school population comes from them.
I'd have to do the math. I don't think it's quite 25%, but we do take in a number of choice students. It's also important to sort of understand the nuance of school choice, and some people disagree with me on this. I wrote a long op-ed about it, explaining the nuance in fine detail, and that's also on the documents section of it, of the website. We lose a certain number of students every year to school choice, and we have to be careful that we at least cover as many students as we're losing. Otherwise, we would pay out significantly to the towns those students are going to. That happens in some of our neighboring districts, and they're really at a disadvantage because of that. The classic argument I've used for years is the marginal cost argument, and if I have class size of 20, but there are only 16 kids in the class, it doesn't cost us anything substantially extra to take in 4 more students, and to not take in those 4 more students is leaving money on the table. The second piece that's interesting, and this is not school choice, but it's connected, are the opportunities around charging tuition to vocational programs. So when we send kids to Conic, and we don't send a lot, the member towns individually pay for tuition for those students to go there, right? And it's on the order of $25,000. If we take in tuition students for our vocational programs, each student we take in will generate $25,000. So there are lots of moving pieces, and it's nuanced. And I hear the concern about, are we taking too many choice students?
I didn't hear the question, and your answer implies the question, but could you restate how the question was put to you?
Yeah, I'm 8 sentences down, so I can't restate it now, but going forward I will. But the question was about school choice. Are you still working on trying to
The new Monument Mountain.
Okay, good. So let's pause for a sec. We'll look at the video, then we'll talk some more about this. We'll go through some of the other pre-prepared frequently asked questions, and then we'll open it up to unanticipated questions, and we'd like to hear your feedback on those.
The new Monument Mountain High School will be located directly in front of the existing school, facing Monument Mountain. This will allow the existing school to remain in operation while the new school is being built. Once completed, the existing building will be demolished, making way for a new practice field. Another consideration for locating the new school here is to maintain the campus connection to both the elementary and middle schools. Improved site circulation is a critical requirement for the project. To achieve this, a dedicated bus drop-off and pickup lane will be created off Monument Valley Road. Parents, students, and staff will arrive from the existing entrance, separating buses and cars to improve the flow of traffic. The main entry is prominently located upon arrival. Once inside, the light-filled lobby will connect to views of Monument Mountain. The main lobby will also serve as a reception area for the auditorium. The new state-of-the-art auditorium will be fully accessible and will enhance all the amazing programs and activities not only for the school but for the community as well. The classrooms will be clustered into groups of 4 to allow for future flexibility in programming. All the classrooms will be light-filled and have state-of-the-art technology to enhance differentiated learning. The science labs will be appropriately sized and include infrastructure to support the curriculum now and into the future. It is important for the library to continue being a hub for the school, providing students a place to gather, interact, and collaborate. Flexible seating and furniture will support all the activities that occur in the library. The light-filled space with views of Monument Mountain will enhance the hub of the school. The career tech spaces will be significantly improved in both size and height to accommodate existing and new programs. The new state-of-the-art auto shop will give students improved hands-on instruction. The introduction of a new electricity program will enhance career tech opportunities for students as well as the community. The horticulture lab and greenhouse will now be located at the school with an opportunity to integrate the program with other courses. The early childhood program will provide care for children and will support learning for high school students. Rounding out the community spaces, the new gym will have sufficient space to meet safety and MIAA regulations, as well as introduce natural light into the gym. The cafeteria will connect the main floor to the lower level with plenty of natural light and views. The cafeteria can be used from morning to evening for students, staff, and the community. Taking advantage of the lower level, outdoor seating will be available and connect students to the various activities that occur on the terrace, extending the programming beyond the four walls of the school. The new Monument Mountain High School project is a smart investment in our future, cost-effective, thoughtfully designed to enhance the exceptional education we're known for, and built with lasting quality to serve generations to come.
So the next question was, why was new construction selected as the preferred solution? I think you just sat through the last half hour. This is kind of self-explanatory. Just went through it. But referring back to the presentation, we did study repair-only addition. Would have basically the same cost to the taxpayers because there would be zero MSBA contribution, 100% tax funded by us. Obviously a lot more disruption. The educational benefit, nothing new. It's just basically repairing what we have here. It's a no-brainer as far as the decision between those two, which the preferred route was. It's a lot more cost-effective, least disruptive, best long-term solution for the community, and really costs about the same.
All right, so the cost of the building. Speak up. All right, the cost of the building. This is obviously a big question for everybody here. What's driving the cost? Building code, accessibility, vocational spaces. Vocational spaces are specialized for, they're larger spaces, high ceilings, so they're a little bit more expensive than the other spaces. As Donna talked about earlier, you can see the building costs coming down throughout the design, us and the design team working towards keeping the cost low for the community. Even though it is really expensive, you can see on the graph over here, this is the MSBA's chart that they publish on their website. So you can see where Monument Mountain ranks in maroon there, or in purple, for the other schools that are being built around this time. It's kind of right in the middle, which is really good, considering it's a high school and a vocational high school at that. You do have elementary schools and middle schools that are being priced at a higher cost right now. So the $52 million, like we said earlier, 61 million is coming back from the state, giving a district share of about $89 million.
Actually, I'll just state the Mass School Building Authority, they do have this chart live on their website. If anyone is interested, just to poke around and see where all the other costs are landing. What you'll see, and I think some people were alluding to this earlier, how come, a building built in 2019 was so much less expensive. These are the trends, right? Just so everyone can understand. So back in January of 20, buildings were costing almost half the cost that they are today. So feel free, massschoolbuilding.com, I believe, and you can just Google cost chart and all of the information is there for you.
Okay, another question that we frequently got is, what happens if the project fails? If the project isn't approved, then we lose funding from the MSBA. We will probably never see that again, at least in my lifetime. I'm in my 50s, and I doubt it in the next 2 decades they would ever approve us again. Doesn't absolve the fact that the existing school still requires extensive repairs. Even partial fixes, such as a new heating system, would trigger the full code upgrade. These costs would fall entirely on local taxpayers with no MSBA reimbursement, and would be the most disruptive option for the students and staff over many years. And what we get at the end of that is still a school that does not meet the educational needs of our programs and students. Our students need, again, I said this a lot, but our students need a physical building. The building we have now needs extensive work. I don't think it's a wise use of taxpayer dollars to continue to put money into this school when we have, for the same amount, roughly, a lot better option, both from a mechanical standpoint as well as for the benefit of the schools and the community.
Jason,
Yes,
can I just add something?
go right ahead. You're a member of the building committee, so.
I'm Bill Fields. I'm a member of the building committee and I'm on the school committee. I just want to add one thing about that previous question that is not apparent. While the work is going on, sections of this building are going to be closed. That's going to be, what we're going to need is portable classrooms. Portable classrooms will be bought by the district. The cost is approximately $3 million for 12 to 14 portable classrooms. That includes work that has to be done septically and other things that are connected to these portable classrooms. The district will own them, and I'm not in real estate, but I'm not sure if there's a huge demand locally or nationally for portable classrooms. So I think that has to be brought into that, the 89 million, that if we just do basic repairs, okay? Basic repairs, we're going to have to shut down certain sections of the building. And where do you put the kids? You put the kids in portable classrooms.
Thank you, Bill. We also recognize, we have a couple of more frequently asked questions, if that's okay, and then we're absolutely going to open it up. Sorry for the technology difficulties. So a lot of people are asking, okay, it's going to be a larger school. What is the cost of the new school? What's the cost to heat, cool, ventilate, bring fresh air in? We had an energy model actually done twice. This was at the end of our schematic design, which demonstrates that it's, I'm going to round up, right? $210,000 annually to heat and cool the building. So what does that mean, right? Right now, your gas and electricity costs on average for the last 3 years is $245,000. We didn't go back to 20 and 21 because that was during COVID. But so for the last 3 years, it has cost approximately $245,000 to operate this building, which is actually smaller. And then, you know, if you think about it, it's really, you are getting so much more benefit by heating, cooling, bringing in fresh air, and it's actually going to cost you less, which then is a segue to solar. We've talked about the sustainability. This new school will obviously be more energy efficient. It will provide natural light and daylighting and views, which really help improve student learning. It also will have fresh air, which everyone can appreciate. And so we've talked about the sustainability, but going back to, if your cost is approximately $209,000 annually just to heat and cool the building, how much would it cost if we wanted to go out and buy solar for the building, right? How much would that cost us? On very, very early preliminary numbers is showing that it would take about 23 years if you purchased the solar, which would be the canopies in the parking lot, and the rooftop solar panels, as well as a energy storage system, would take about 23 years to pay back. And after that time, you would really benefit from almost, I have to say, almost free electricity generated on site. And there are ways to reduce that, and then obviously we would spend more time really getting into a detailed study. But this will show you that if you did want to purchase solar, then it would take about 23 years. There are other ways to do it, a power purchase agreement, which you currently have. You have, I think, a solar farm, if that's what it's called, here in Great Barrington, which you are also benefiting from right now. We are done talking. Sorry again for the technical difficulties. So we'd love to hear from you. I know there's a gentleman over there. We have a speaker, a microphone at the back that we're asking people to come up to, unless I think we could probably hear people. We can. Okay. Thank you. So we're just asking, come on up. The speakers by Christopher Barnes. Just state your name and your address, please. And we're hoping we have a lot of conversation. So we're going to try to limit it to a 2-minute time to speak, and then we're going to go in between local here, and then we also have a virtual audience as well. So yes, thank you.
My name is Nick Fredsall, Cherry Street in Stockbridge. So can you tell me what part of the building code says that if you replace the roof, you have to bring the entire building up to code?
Jeff, do you have that memorized? Yeah, actually, we have checked and double-checked that, but...
Sure. So in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, sure, is that? So in the Commonwealth, if you spend more than 30% of the fair cash value of your property, you're then required to bring the entire building into compliance, which is with what they call 521 CMR, which is basically the state accessibility code. And that they don't differentiate what you spend that on, but if it's more than, in our case, 4.92 million, then the entire building would need to be brought into full compliance.
And do you have a well here, or do you have town water?
The district has a well system for all 3 buildings. It's way back in the wetlands.
And is that water system enough to feed the sprinkler system in the building?
It is, yes.
Is there anyone online that has a question? Yep.
Yep, testing. Okay. I have 2 questions on deck. So the first is from Sherry. Many people are saying that the new design is too big. Can you give a square footage comparison again, please? And thank you.
I think they're asking for a square footage comparison maybe to the existing building. The existing building is approximately 120,000 square feet. And the new school is approximately 142,000 square feet. Part of the 142,000 also includes the horticulture program, which is not attached to this building, right? As we know, it's down at the bottom of the hill, as well as the greenhouse, which would also be brought up. But the classrooms are significantly undersized here. The science labs are significantly undersized as well. Some special education spaces also do not meet today's standards, and in fact, we had to receive Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. We needed their approval to even put forth a proposal to you. So a lot of your spaces are undersized from where they should be today. So even though we are adding an electricity program, which is a added square footage to what you have here, the gym, we're not asking to expand that greatly, and the auditorium as well. So all of the additional square footage is really dedicated to properly sizing the classrooms, the science labs, and all of your career tech programs. All right, I'm going to ask the gentleman who was standing there.
Henry Kirchdorfer, 3 Dugway Road, Stockbridge. But currently, how many students are in school enrolled right now?
The principal's right next to you.
400.
Christopher, can you?
It was 400. It was 400 just recently. I can check again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Online?
I have a question from Dale Abrams. How has the district come to the decision to run an early childhood program within the high school in addition to the program that is within the elementary school? I know a program exists already in the high school, and I'm wondering if there's been considerations of consolidating the two, since the two schools are very close and could potentially reduce overall scale and cost to the high school project.
The early childhood program in the high school is a teaching lab that's part of the Chapter 74 early education program. So we host that mountainside program in this building so that our high school students can work with those young students, both to support them in running a preschool, but also to learn how to work with young children with hopes of potentially going into teaching when they graduate or when they leave the high school and go on to college. And then I guess the other thing, Dale, there also aren't enough early childhood seats in the community to begin with, so we have a wait list at Muddy Brook, so consolidating the programs into Muddy Brook would just make the wait list longer.
Hi, Doug Robbins from 148 Alfred Road in Great Barrington. I have a question. It seems that the numbers that you've projected for construction are similar to what we've seen previously in some of the other presentations. Have you taken into consideration, once you start construction, over the period of 2 years, maybe it'll go 3 years, the increased cost based on inflation? We're looking at the community assuming, actually I have two questions. The community assuming close to $90 million. The other question that I have you projected what the impact is going to be to our tax base on an individual basis of that $90 million? How is that going to be funded by our community? I didn't see any of that explanation in this presentation. Thank you.
So okay, great. Can you all hear me? It's sounding funny. Yep. Okay, so the cost estimate of $152 million takes into consideration that the construction won't begin until 2027. So escalation is already factored into that number. We also have contingencies as part of the overall cost. But we have 2 professional cost estimators that have looked at these plans independently, and they both arrived at $152 million with midpoint of construction, which would be in 2028. So we are taking into consideration that we're out. I think escalation costs are approximately 4% per year, which is how we got to that number. But to also say, and then I'll let Peter speak to the other portion of it, is that once we receive the vote, MSBA has given us the numbers, we have to live within these numbers. So it can come down, and we're going to work really hard to get the numbers down, but it can't go up. So if the bids come in higher, then it's our job that we would have to find means to reduce the cost and go out to bid at obviously no additional cost to you. But we're very comfortable and confident with these numbers. We have escalation built in and we have contingencies built in.
The second part of your question was around the individual impact of the project on each of us as taxpayers. On the building project website is this tax calculator. The first step to it is to figure out what your assessed value is, and there are links to each of the 3 towns. So in your case, you live in Great Barrington, you click on the link for assessed value. You either type in your address or your first and last name. It pulls it up. Your assessed value is thankfully different than the Zillow value, which is the one we're more familiar with, right? So our assessed values are slightly or significantly less than the Zillow value. You take that number and you type it into the calculator. The rates are slightly different for each of the 3 towns, and that explains what the annual tax impact would be. The tax calculator's modeled on a 30-year bond at 5%. We were conservative doing 5% for a municipal project. My hope is that it goes down, but if I started with a number that was too low and it went up, you'd all run me out of town. So we started with 5% and hope it may go down some.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Go ahead, Victoria.
Question from Anna. How soon would property taxes go up if the building project is approved? And has there been any consideration for private fundraising for the school building project?
Let me start with the second question first and then the first question second. Private fundraising for the school building projects. So this is a really problematic thing with the MSBA. They don't allow private fundraising for parts of the core project. In fact, if we did private fundraising and raised $10 million, it would get taken out of their contribution to us. So the most sort of clear example would be what happened at Mount Greylock in Williamstown. And Williams College made a discrete donation, as Williams College often does, to the town of Williamstown. But they received the donation, I believe, after the project, or the funds went into a trust. And then when the project was completed, they used that donation to fund an outdoor athletic center that included, among other things, bathrooms and a Nordic ski waxing place. All right, but if Williams had made the donation before the project, then the MSBA contribution to the project would have been reduced. So we can't really do private fundraising for parts of the core project, though after the project's completed, there is precedent of other communities doing private fundraising for discrete projects not connected to the main project. I guess the first part of the question was, when does this hit the tax rolls? That's I think to be determined. It's all connected to when it's bonded out, and in the beginning, and the finance people can speak better to this than I can. But in the beginning, we might do several short-term borrowings that roll into a longer one, and typically the short-term borrowings don't hit the tax rate right away. And I can get some more detail, and I'll post something on the building project website explaining that in a more granular way.
It's our turn.
Hi, Neil Weber, 22 Ice Glen Road, Stockbridge. I've heard that the MSBA has a repair program. I've also heard that we are not eligible for that repair program, and I'm wondering why. Or is that true?
Thank you. MSBA will support repairs of certain aspects of the building, roof, windows, and right now they're saying they will help replace boilers for all electric. You can't just replace your oil burner anymore, your oil furnace. But that's based upon that there's not any educational need within the school. So because they recognize that the school is so old, it doesn't meet your educational program, Therefore, they're not going to invest in putting more money into a school that doesn't meet your educational needs. In fact, as part of the overall study at the very beginning, we did have to look at a repair only. They make us do this, renovation, addition, and new construction. And we went back to them 3 times. Why are you asking us to do a repair only project when everyone is in agreement it doesn't meet the educational needs? And they said they really want that as a basis of comparison and how much it would cost to invest in the school. We said, well, if the community wanted to do repairs only, you'd support us. And they said, no, we won't, because it doesn't meet your educational needs. So if you go and you look at Muddy Brook, or if you look at the middle school and they meet your educational program, they are new buildings, and you need a roof replaced, absolutely go ask MSBA to help pay for the roof because it meets your educational program. But here, they said they're not going to invest in a building that doesn't meet your educational needs.
And just one clarification, we refer to Muddy Brook and Du Bois as new buildings, but for those who are around, they're 21 years old, right? So we've gotten a lot of good learning out of those spaces, but they're not new buildings anymore. They're 21 years old.
This is from Tim. What is the anticipated lifetime of the new building, and how do regular maintenance costs compare?
So we are designing a building that should last at least 50, or our goal is at least 75 years. What was the other part? Sorry, Victoria.
How do regular maintenance costs compare?
Compared to what you currently have, you know, again, your operating costs are less. A lot of the systems that we have identified do not have as many moving parts. They're going to be much easier to maintain. But yes, you will have to replace your filters on a regular basis, just like you would here. You would still need to do your regular maintenance. But overall, the cost would not, if anything, it probably is less than what you currently have to do now to continue to maintain this building. If you have a unit ventilator that breaks, it's really difficult right now to try to find the parts to support the unit ventilator, right? So the cost to operate and maintain it is actually, we have a detailed part of the energy model that is posted to the website that does talk about how much it would cost. But if anything, it would be less than what you're currently having to face. Does anyone else? We got a gentleman.
John Breasted, 151, excuse me, Christian Hill Road here in Great Barrington. I have 2 questions about the budget section of the full presentation online. The section I read most thoroughly before coming to this meeting is 19 pages long, heading, the heading on that is finishings and equipment budget. There's a big red kind of a warning at the top of some of the budget lines there saying budget does not include tariff allowance. What does that refer to, Donald Trump?
So, the 19-page document that you're referring to was the fixture, furniture, and equipment budget. The actual cost estimate, or both, we have 2 cost estimates, but is something like 80 pages long. So what you saw was for furniture and equipment, and we actually have the costs as part of the project. You would get all new furniture, all new equipment, all new technology, all new displays, all of that. Up at the top, Furniture, fixtures, and equipment is a little harder to pin down how much it's going to cost in 2029 when you need it. So I can't say it's one person in particular that was referring to, but yes, we actually don't have, manufacturers have not even released 2026 costs for furniture right now because of the tariffs that are potentially coming.
So the word tariff is referring to an unknown cost that would be added on potentially in the next 2 years due to tariffs assessed on supplies that come from out of the country. Is that what that means?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yes. It is referring to the one big beautiful bill, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Another question about that same section on furnishings is there seems to be a lot, everything there is priced as being new. Just taking the tour of the building here this afternoon, I see a lot of furniture here that looks quite durable. Is it against the rules of the MSBA to reuse furniture from an old school rather than send it to a landfill? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, thank you. No, actually, thank you. And if everyone doesn't know Steve Soul, raise your hand, Steve, right? Director of Operation Facilities here in the district. We have gone through the school. I think we have identified about 120 chairs, 200 desks. So we are going to be reusing as many desks, furniture that we possibly can. Chairs, there might be different colors, but that's okay. We'll put them in different parts of the building. We'll get creative. But we agree, we do not want to throw away good quality furniture. So we are planning on reusing them as much as we can.
There are, in the proposed budget for furnishings, there are a number of desks for administrators priced at about $5,500. You wouldn't want to, would you not want to, if the principal's desk now is serviceable, why pay $5,500 for a new one?
Yeah, we'll continue to, thank you. And again, we have gone through and have done an inventory of all the furniture. I'll just praise you to say furniture and what we could reuse. And we'll continue to look at that. We won't be buying furniture until probably beginning of 2029. And so we will take a hard look at all of the reusables. We are going to be taking over a lot of the equipment. The automotive shop, like they're getting grants, they're buying equipment, and we're planning on pretty much relying on the current equipment that's in the automotive space over at the new school. Same thing with the advanced manufacturing. We're planning on bringing over a lot of that. So we're really looking to continue to find ways to reduce the costs, and furniture is no exception. So we'll continue to evaluate that.
And a last question about that same section of the proposed budget or estimated budget is, there's a note that says copy, plotter, printer, and fax equipment are not included in this budget. And the same thing for computers, AV equipment, and library book security, residential appliances.
That's all correct. So we have a whole separate technology budget that includes everything from network switches to wireless access points for us to have Wi-Fi, to projectors in the classrooms, to equipment in the auditorium. So that's a separate budget. That would also include printers and copiers, right? So that's why the furniture budget is furniture. We have a technology budget. And then as far as household appliances, what they're referring to are for some of the special education spaces, they do require a refrigerator or an oven or a stove, and those are included in the actual construction budget.
So, last question, are you saying then that there is a separate section of the total proposed or estimated budget for technology, meaning things like computers and AV equipment?
Yes. Yep. So wherever you found that, there should be a corresponding technology budget as well. And we're happy to help you find the link to that. But yes, everything that you see is part of the project.
Okay, thank you for your answers.
Thank you. And thank you for being so thorough. Do we have anyone online?
Yes, a comment from Frank Landsberger of West Stockbridge. I think you would agree that programs, not buildings, determine the quality of education. Many people in our community complain that their students cut classes, but still graduate with honors. This generates a great measure of distrust that this program will create an improved educational outcome.
You know, I think we have a lot of great students that go through the school. I'm proud of our community. I'm proud of the vast majority of students that work hard, and you know, it's up to us as a community to support them. And what do we want? What kind of learning environment? What kind of structure do we want them to do? Yes, I mean, you could, you know, technically get an education out of a log room, but I mean, you know, studies have shown that the better the environment, the better the learning experience. I mean, you see that with test results, although I'm going to get Bill Fields mad at me for mentioning test results. But, you know, there is a direct correlation. And yes, we want to support our students. We want to make it easier for them. We want to do everything we can to make their learning experience better. We don't want to have them overcome unneeded obstacles, especially compared to, you know, just looking in the county, the new Wacona High School, the new Taconic High School, they're renovated in addition to Mount Greylock High School. I mean, other communities have stepped up. They've provided the learning space that, you know, their students deserve, and, you know, we as a building committee feel the same way. Thank you.
Hello, David Logan, Great Barrington. This isn't really a question, it's more of an observation, but I wanted to start by saying thank you to the committee, to the designers, for spending your time this evening talking to us. Would you mind going to that tax impact calculator screen? If I'm understanding correctly, the cost to build a new school compared to the cost to repair the current one is about the same, around $89 million. And if you can go to that tax impact calculator, yeah, this calculator is designed to help you estimate the potential tax impact of voting in favor of funding a new high school. It would seem that we could use this same tax impact calculator to estimate the potential tax impact of voting no. So just an observation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's accurate, right? When we were looking at this, we even debated internally whether we should have two tax calculators, the calculator if you vote yes and the calculator if you vote no. We thought it was confusing to have two tax calculators, but in the first instance you vote yes, and it costs $89 million, and we get 61 from the MSBA. And in the second, it costs $89 million to the taxpayers, and we get nothing from the MSBA, right? Other folks will talk about this, but with the new building, you get a host of other benefits that you don't get with a a building that's brought up to code, not to mention the duration that you suffer through a renovation and get into what Bill was describing as the portable classrooms.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Hi, Athena Dratellis, Great Barrington. I have a couple of questions. The first is on the renovation cost estimate. I don't know if you can go to that slide. So I think I saw $71 million and then a roundup of about 18 million of soft costs. So I'd just like to understand if contingency costs are already in that $59 million estimated construction costs and what the soft costs refer to.
Thank you. Thank you, and it looks like you read the fine print, so thank you. The 15% contingency that is included in the construction costs is actually a design contingency, meaning we really haven't designed anything to determine at a comfortable level what the actual cost is going to be, right? We did this at the very beginning of the preliminary design process of this, and so we added a 15% design contingency to the construction costs because the systems hadn't been designed. But as part of the 71 million is, the estimated construction cost, and then typically a typical soft costs, as you referred to, is typically 25%. What's not included in here would be the portable classrooms, and then the assumption in all of this is that all of this work, we had it escalated to 2027. So if you don't, and our estimation, it's going to be almost nearly impossible to do any of this work, especially simultaneously by 2027, right? So this really is not 100% defined. A lot of work would still have to go into it. You need to hire someone to help design and figure out the phasing and logistics and how you're going to do all these things. But really, this was meant to demonstrate to MSBA and to everyone order of magnitude based on 2027, which is when this new school would be built.
The other question is what specific educational needs are not being met by the current school building?
So let me start this, and then I may have Christopher weigh in additionally. So all of the current vocational spaces are really inappropriate. The automotive shop, and we're working on a little video on this that we'll share in the next week or so. The ceiling's low, right? Like painfully low. So we have lifts, and we can't put the cars up high enough so that people can work under them. So that's like the most obvious. The number of students that can be in that space is limited by the size of the space. The greenhouse is distinct and separate from the building. It's an old fox kennel down the hill. It's not ADA accessible. And in bad weather, it's a little hard for anybody to get down that hill. The spaces within it are also problematic. The early childhood space is reconfigured classrooms. We've done some work there. That's probably the best of the vocational spaces. All the science labs are outdated and inappropriate and not accessible. For those that went on the tour, you noticed at least one of the bathrooms has an open door and then an interior door with like a partition because it's inaccessible, and that's the best we could do. Safety systems throughout the building are really problematic. There are many doors and single pane windows, and that's a real concern. Some of us live in houses or spend time in other spaces that have sprinklers in them, and this building is grandfathered and does not have sprinklers.
Is that considered an educational need or just a safety?
I know. I mean, educate safety. I started with classroom spaces. I moved to broader safety ones.
I guess because on the state funding match is related to educational needs.
Right. So I
just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I
that.
think, and Donna can talk some more to this as well, but I think that the biggest concerns were the vocational spaces, the science labs, the special education spaces. Christopher, what am I missing?
Interior classrooms with no natural light.
Yeah. So right. So in interior classrooms with no natural light.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we have someone online. Could you wait one sec? Thank you.
Tim Butterworth, Great Barrington. There has clearly been a lot of thought in this process, yet oversimplified narratives proliferate. I would highly recommend adding a second drop down to the tax calculator, not a second calculator, just a second choice. As it is, it's far too easy for someone's takeaway to be that the tax impact is drastically worse for a new building.
Thanks for that feedback, and we'll see how we can continue to expand that. We did do, if you look at the cost pages on the building project website, there's 3 levels to enter it. One is the simplest version. There's a second one that has more detail, and there's a third link that's very granular. But we'll continue to try to figure out ways to make it more understandable. Yeah, go ahead.
So my name is Nick Nadorf from Stockbridge. I have 2 commercial properties. I'll be paying taxes towards this. I think we need an improvement, no question about it, and thank you all for doing this forum. My history, basically, I've been in the fuel business for 50 years. I supplied all the propane for the 2 schools for temporary heat. I've been around a long time, licensed for both oil and gas and many other licenses in Massachusetts. My concern is about the thought that we could possibly do this building with electric heat. My understanding is we'll have to have generators to back up in the case there's a power failure, because this will be grid dependent. I don't know what the calculation will be for 30, is it 30 wells you're going to have?
No more, 100 and something.
110.
It's $4.8 million for a generator. And then I want to talk about this because knowing fuel oil like I do, fuel oil is not stable anymore. We took the sulfur out of diesel fuel and fuel oil. So if in fact we're going to have on-site storage on fuel oil, someone should address the fact that that won't last very long. I could envision a time when the grid goes down and our solar isn't enough, that we have to call the school and close it until we got back online.
Yeah. Nick, thanks for asking the question. We've actually done some work on this.
Good.
And I think Donna's going to pull up the granular.
But I want to make a further comment. Yeah. Being in Stockbridge, when we took our old plain school and converted it to our town hall to the tune of $10 million, Steve Shantz is here, we had a circuit rider manager basically for the town, Joe Kellogg, who said we'll never have a fossil fuel in this building. So we did a thermal pump and dump system, which is not what you're going to have here. You're going to have slinkies.
No, but I work out of the Stockbridge building, and I understand that intimately. And the difference is that was an open loop system,
pump and dump,
right, on a riverbed where there's a lot of sand. And I remember them taking buckets of sand out of that building
Correct.
before it transitioned and was retrofitted. We don't think that the technology this many years later, almost 20 years later, is that much better. We don't
You're
anticipate
totally
that.
on target. The thing was, we were sold a bill of goods. We said there'd never be a fossil fuel on the building. We do have natural gas now into the building to do the heating.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So I don't want to be sold a bill of goods about electric heat. I'm in the business, all right? It doesn't make sense to heat with solar or geothermal. We're in the same floodplain, basically. The silty sand is down there, and I don't know that's going to really, work in terms of the BTUs you need to get out. My understanding is every time you go 100 feet, you gain 1 degree of energy. So we're going to have shallow wells that basically, I think, will be inundated with the cold as we try to transfer the heat. By the end of the season, they might not be able to produce enough groundwater temperature to do what you're asking it to do. The calculations are probably there, but I don't know that the engineering study has been done that would prove that these wells would produce enough energy.
Yeah.
Plus,
I'm going to have Donna speak to it a little bit. I think this also might be a good conversation for us to share some of the reports with you and go into it.
I'd love to go into it. I have a couple other comments, though.
Okay, great. Keep going.
Is there a line item for the demolition of this building?
Yes, it's included.
So I want to go back a long ways. My mother went to a one-room schoolhouse. Do you know where the teacher lived? In the schoolhouse. You know why? She had to keep the fire going so they would keep the kids warm when the class was in session. Reason I say that, Stockbridge has a situation now where people are buying up houses like commodities. Corporations are only allowed to buy 2, but they'll put another LLC in place. So we've actually turned the whole of Stockbridge into a hotel with the Airbnb concept. There's no place for workforce housing. The reason I asked about the line item for the demolition of this building, is it possible that we could think about making on-site residence for teachers? Because, answer my question, where are the teachers going to live that are going to service the children here? You don't have to answer it now, but they're not going to live in Stockbridge. A $500,000 house in Stockbridge sells for $1 million, and then they put another $500,000 into it, which puts it out of reach of any workforce. We talk about affordable housing, that's never really put people in the workforce. We need to have workforce housing somewhere. This is a beautiful building. It does need some renovation. Maybe there's funding to have that type of housing so we can reuse this building. It's not leaking now. I have one more thought. Am I getting the same 2 minutes the guy in the wheelchair got?
Yes, go for it.
So I've actually brought this up before when this came up to vote the last time. I said, what's the shape of the roof? And they said, why? I said, well, why are we replacing the school? And they said, because the roof leaks. And it did. My wife went to school here the first year the high school was here, and the roof leaked. And Mr. Souls knows what I'm talking about. Why is the new one flat, new school flat, when Otis had a flat roof school for about a year, and they peaked it, all right? And the other part I think we're getting solar bill of goods is, if in fact it's going to be a flat roof, and we're saying we can put solar panels on here, aren't we going to penetrate the roof with every solar panel that we put with the brackets that are going to hold the solar panels in place? And I thank you for my 2 minutes. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick. Donna will respond to that, and we've done a lot of talking about this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and very thoughtful. And I'm going to go last to first. Andy, if you want to address the...
Sure. Thank you for the question. The flat roof, it is a low-slope roof that pitches towards main roof drains. The water is infiltrated on site, does not enter any sort of stormwater system. But the roof is also designed to be solar ready. A ballasted PV system just sits on the roof and ballasted. There are no penetrations for that type of a PV system. What else? It's a lower cost. You're not spending money on the structure to build tall peaked roofs across, it is a very large building. Roofing membranes have improved over the years. If there is a leak, it's easier to fix. I don't know what the original Paul or Steve might know what the original roof was here, maybe a tar roof, but not a current kind of membrane roof. So I don't know if that helps answer the question.
So yes, for this project, you can get a 10, 15, or 20-year warranty. Yes. So I hope that answers the roof question. Let me jump to the geothermal or ground source heat pump. The difference between what you're describing about the silty soils and everything else, that pertains to the geothermal that you have over at the middle school. This is a closed loop system. It's not utilizing the water or the ground to heat. It is using glycol. So it really is just relying on the standard like 50-degree temperature in the ground to heat. You're saying 40. We have done it, we have one test well done here, and we have the report for you. Love to share it, love to have that conversation. I think it is somewhere, but we'll see Victoria after, and we'll make sure you get that. But we were a little nervous when we first tested this because of the high groundwater that you have and how is this going to work, and the conductivity turned out to be excellent. And so originally we were estimating 116 wells. We're down to 110. Like, that matters a whole lot, but it does. But we are confident that it can be done. We have 2 experts in this field that were the ones doing this. As architects, we have to rely on our experts and engineers. But we do have that report for you that would demonstrate how that works. As it relates to generators, yes, we will have a generator, and it will be diesel. The only propane that will be used in the building will be for the science labs. Otherwise, it will be an all-electric building. So how do you support that? Totally agree. We have a very large, I think it's 700 kilowatt generator for the building right now. To respond to what you were saying about the sulfur diesel, we're well aware of it. We have a whole paper. People won't want me to read all of this, but suffice to say, right, the current fuel contains 97% less sulfur, and it does reduce emissions, which is a good thing. But there are ways that the district is going to have to treat it. They are going to have to be vigilant. We recommend doing some of these anyway. You do want to test your generator once a week. I don't know if anyone has a generator at home, but you test your generators, right? So we've done a whole lot of research on that, and would love to share our approach to that as well. And maybe you do know, but actually there's a new fuel source. It's called hydrotreated vegetable oil, HVO. So down the road, when that may or may not come to fruition, but when it becomes more generally available, the diesel generator could support something like that. So I don't know, maybe that's a 3rd, 4th, 5th business that you maybe want to run. I don't know. It's vegetable oil that's it's approved by the FDA. But anyway, we've done a whole series on a whole report, a whole white paper on this, and happy to share that with you as well. Did we answer all of your questions? Oh, geez. Quick. Is it? We're quickly checking. It is included in the estimate. Preliminary was not. Okay. Yes, as part of this project, it really would need to be demolished. It is, this is an extremely large building that, again, needs about a lot of money to repair it. Maybe it's a little, I don't even know how you would convert an audit. This would kind of be a fun movie theater for everyone that lives here. But, the spaces really aren't appropriate. And then you have to continue to maintain it. You can see it's not going to be inexpensive to maintain. So maybe there are other ways to incentivize people to come work here. I just want to go back to the other generator comment that the district does, or currently does, treat the diesel that's currently here now. So they're already doing that program of having to treat the low sulfur diesel. So you can Steve Sewell afterwards. Thanks. Do you have the cost of the? Okay. So the direct cost, 1.25 million, and then you have all of the construction markups for the contractor, but direct cost 1.25 million. Thanks, Jeff. Anyone online?
Alexander Brown from Stockbridge. What is the basis for saying MSBA won't approve a future project for the school?
I'm happy.
Since the last vote, we worked tirelessly to catch the MSBA's ear, and I used to say it was a minor miracle. It's a major miracle that they let us back in. The process is extraordinarily competitive. If we have a failed vote and go back to them and ask them to invest their resources in a place where then there would have been 3 failed votes, they're going to pick another community, right? It's a very competitive process, and they're going to pick another community that has the likelihood of approving it. So we don't know that they won't do it, but we made a whole number of changes, from clarifying our educational plan to redoing our regional agreement to expanding vocational opportunities to exploring for the better part of 4 years merging with a neighboring district. We left no stone unturned in what we could do to make to explore a range of possibilities and make a compelling case to the MSBA. In my professional opinion, I don't think we'd ever get back on the list. And if somebody would want to reach out to the MSBA, they might confirm it. Just the odds of getting approved don't suggest that we could have a failed vote and get approved. When we got in, it was very competitive. It's even more competitive now.
And I think just to add, MSBA will say, you've had 2 failed votes. What are you going to do differently this time to get a positive vote, right? So you can't just come back with the same plan or the same goals. Like you're going to have to demonstrate what you've done locally to hopefully get a positive vote. And I think you've worked really hard over 10 years to demonstrate that you've changed some things locally. That is probably one of the reasons why you were also invited back in. So,
and then the history of it, I think, is also clear, right? The costs of building don't go down; they go up. So imagine where we might be if we could even get the MSBA's ear again in 10 or 15 years, what the costs might be.
And in the meantime, you have some needs that need to be addressed.
Right.
Before you get in, but we're not saying you will never. I don't think we could categorically say that, but MSBA actually fields questions from the communities all the time. So, yes.
Janice Robbins, Great Barrington. Can you please clarify, you said something before about you wouldn't get funds from MSBA if you went over. Was it over budget or over the projected amount?
Yeah, so we wouldn't get any more money from the MSBA, if that's what you were referring to.
Okay, yeah.
So I think someone said, are you paying, you're saying this is the number now, and you haven't even, we're going out to bid in 2 years, or there's going to be overruns and escalation and all that other stuff. Again, I think answered that part of the question. MSBA will not pay or give you any more money than what they've agreed to at $61 million. If you go down, they may consider sharing the savings with you, but they won't participate or give you any more. So the board, the MSBA Board of Directors voted and approved, again, not easy, and it was a huge milestone in August to vote and approve and commit $61 million to the community.
Okay. One other question. How realistic is it to have a school built in 2.5 years? That seems incredulous to me.
Meaning it's quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, we're saying 24 months, actually. We're saying 24 months to have the students in the new school, and then probably 6 months thereafter, we have to demolish the existing building. We do have to demolish it and then finish the site work. But we do it all the time. Skanska, the owner's project manager, has a very similar experience as us. The other thing we will take into consideration, to look at, we're always looking at ways, again, to expedite and cut costs. So the sooner you can do something, right, less escalation. This is going to be a hard bid, Chapter 149, where it's a general contractor, but we are going to consider possibly if there's a way to do some early site packages so that maybe we have parts of the site cleared or prepped for the contractor to come in and get going right away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The general contractor's bid is going to be a fixed. It's not a not to exceed. This is their bid. If they miss something that's on the drawings, that's too bad. And they're still going to have to do it if they misinterpreted what something was on the drawings. So this is not like a guaranteed maximum price or an estimated price, and they're going to come back and ask for more money. They own everything that's on the drawings.
I just want to make crystal clear about one answer that I think you gave before. Can we go back to the repair expenses? So you said that 30% value points would make you have to bring the entire building into compliance, full compliance, or did you mean to say ADA compliance?
It would be full compliance with the state accessibility code.
So the ADA, so you don't, it's not going to make you do the HVAC system, the roof, the exterior windows, the plumbing, the power, all of that. It's going to make you do the $7.4 million for that compliance.
That's correct.
So you can pick these items off, the $1.3 million for the cleaning and repairs, the floor replacement, $3 million, $3.2 million for general lighting controls and so on. That doesn't bring you to 50% of the building area, which would require you to actually bring the entire building up to full compliance. This is important because
yes, it is.
What you were saying is that if we vote no, which there's a good chance because we've already had 2 no votes and now it's more expensive, that it's going to cost us $89 million to bring the entire building up to compliance. And that doesn't seem like it's true. It sounds like we're going to have to bring it up to the MAAB compliance, which is only 7.4, and you can pick those smaller items off, like a new roof in a summer. Exterior windows and doors would be a great thing to start with because you would essentially immediately start saving money on energy, which would bring you probably down to the same cost to heat and cool the building as the new building would, because this building has old windows and they're not energy efficient, where the new building has energy efficient windows. So if you change the exterior windows and doors for $6.8 million, 1 year, 2 years, whatever it takes, you really don't have to spend the $89 million, is that correct?
So I think we could maybe say it a little differently. What we're saying, the code stipulates that over a 5-year period, if you exceed 30% of the value of the assessed value of the school, right? So 4.9, I'm just going to round up, $5 million. So if you do the exterior cleaning, floor replacement, and I don't know, general lighting and controls, you've exceeded it, you're correct. You would have to pay $7.4 million for those items.
Right.
In addition
that's a lot less than
to,
$89 million.
well, yeah, but in addition, you also have the sprinklers. You have to put.
But you're not required to put the sprinklers in the building.
You are. So it's that too is a code requirement. You are grandfathered in right now, but if you spend 33% of the assessed value of the building, you are now required to put sprinklers in the building. So. But your point is taken that no one is saying that you're going to run out the door tomorrow and spend $59 million. Which
well, you did. You guys have said that.
We're saying these
if we
need
get a
to
no
be
vote,
done.
you're saying that we have to spend 89. You said it's the same cost either way, and it really isn't the same cost because you don't have to do it all at once. You can spread it out over a period of time, pick the most important things and the things that are going to save you the most energy, which relates to the most money.
Yeah. So what we're saying, and clearly we agree, there's no way you can do all of this work at one time.
Right.
You can't. It's really going to be a decision on what is most pressing. I think the roof is one of the critical items right now, but your heating system really needs to be, all of these items need to be addressed. When that happens, right, is it 10 years? Is it over 10 years? Is it longer? I don't know. We can't really speak to that. What we can tell you, I don't think, other than the exterior cleaning and repairs, none of these items, maybe general lighting and controls, could actually occur just over a summer.
Right.
But any work over 5 years, any work over 5 years combined that exceeds $4.92 million, it does trigger you to do the accessibility compliance, right? And it also, you have to put in a new sprinkler system.
So that's only $12.4 million, not
plus,
89.
plus the cost of the work. And so maybe you can live without new flooring.
I mean, it doesn't seem to me that all the copper piping inside the building would need to be replaced. I mean, it's copper piping. It lasts for an incredible amount of time. It's not.
So we have gone out and it's in our report. We did an existing conditions report and spent a lot of time and have looked through the building extremely thoroughly to identify all of the deficiencies. And then we went a step further to identify priorities and what needs to get done within the next 10 years. But we have people here that live it every single day. And Steve, I don't know if there's anything further to say to this other than these all have been identified as needs. How they get done, when they get done, we're in agreement, not sure. That needs to be really thought out because none of these can be done over a summer. But suffice to say, whatever you choose over a 5-year period, if it exceeds $4.9 million, you have to put in, spend $7 million for accessibility, and then if it exceeds $5 million, you have to put in a new sprinkler system. So,
okay.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. That is it meets the standards. Jeff, I don't know if you want to speak to that thing.
Yes, only one passenger elevator is required to move people who need to use it up and down.
If the elevator is down,
That is correct. Just to point out, you're absolutely right. What we've tried to do, recognizing that that does happen, is many of the special education spaces are located right on that middle floor, the entry floor, to help mitigate any downtime. It is compliant with the, it is compliant.
Yeah. So thank you.
Correct.
We've
Excuse me, from now on, could we just, people want to talk, go to the microphone, and if not, if you have a problem with mobility, we'll bring the microphone to you, but from now on, if you could queue up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to revisit the enrollment assumption, just to understand that a little bit better. My understanding is there's about 270 students enrolled in the school from Great Barrington, Stockbridge, and West Stockbridge, which would be the tax-paying communities to support the new school. So, and I also understand that enrollment's declining in the community. So was there an attempt to size out and cost out a new school that was appropriate for that size of enrollment, say around 300 or so students? And if so, what's that number compared to what we currently see as the proposed new school?
The whole project is based on, from a formula perspective, the projected enrollment of 485. It drives square footage. It drives really everything. As a district, we're obligated to provide seats for all the school-age eligible students that live in our communities. There's some students that attend private schools. There's some students that attend boarding schools, any number of places. In addition, that number includes the tuition students from the 3 towns that we have tuition agreements with, and their towns contribute at a significantly different rate than the choice rate. So in this past year, there were 49 tuition students, and then the balance of students are the choice students. If we wanted to do a significantly reduced enrollment, we would have to look at what the impact of that would be on our whole set of offerings and what we wanted to offer. I'm reluctant to even throw out possibilities because tomorrow I'll get 20 phone calls that I want to cut this team or that activity or something else. But people appreciate the school for the range of offerings. That might include vocational offerings. It might include AP classes. It might include a robust drama, musical, visual, or performing arts program. And if we made a decision to significantly drop our enrollment, it would impact all of that. The other thing that's nuanced and I think people don't understand is once we accept a choice student, they're ours until they graduate. So the decision to stop accepting choice students would take many, many years to play out. So
4, right? 4?
No, because we've accepted choice students in kindergarten, so they could be ours for 13 more years. All right. There was a year, probably 10 years ago, when the school committee debated the efficacy of accepting school choice students, and we didn't accept any new students for 1 year. And it was seen as a colossal failure. We lost a lot of revenue, and in turn, still were obligated to cover the costs of our students that we choiced out or that chose to choice out to other districts. So we've done a lot of work on this. We think it's the right model and it makes sense. And we anticipate if we build a new building, we'll see a bump in enrollment, and that's built into the MSBA's projections.
But that comes with a cost, right? A lower reimbursement rate on choice students compared to what the taxpayers in Great Barrington, Stockbridge, and West Stockbridge pay.
Right, but I mean, every choice we make comes with a cost, right? Whether we run 6 athletic programs in the fall or 6 teams, or we run 2, comes with a choice as well.
Can I, 2 comments from Zoom participants. Rebecca Gold asks, as a reminder for speakers to introduce themselves. And then we have Jason. These numbers give people a clearer understanding of their tax cost. In Great Barrington, $500,000 assessed value home would pay $722 a year. Stockbridge would pay $719, and West Stockbridge would pay $623.
So someone's trying to help put some context to the calculator. Actually, Victoria, do we have a QR code for people to take on the way out?
Yes.
I know we're losing people, but there is a postcard with a QR code that will take you to the website if you want to visit it afterwards.
Yep, we have some by the model.
Awesome.
As you're walking out.
Thank you.
Hi, Rachel Siegel, Great Barrington. I also teach in the building. There seems to be a perception, this is a question really I think for Peter to answer, there seems to be a perception in social media that there is an option to do nothing with the building, let the building fall into complete disrepair, and send all the students to other districts. And people seem to think that that's possible. Peter, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, reluctantly, right? I don't think that's a viable option. There are about 1 million unanswered questions there, right? We spent 4 years trying to merge with Southern Berkshire. 4 of the towns supported that, and 4 rejected it. We've not engaged in conversations with them about shutting down our district and sending our kids there. The other presumable places would be Lee and Lenox. I don't know if any of them have the capacity to take our kids or young people or have an interest in doing so. I think that the bigger implication, and there's lots of research that suggests this, as schools go, so go our communities. All right, the shutting down high school that's seen as highly successful, even if you could figure out the technical way to do it, get the towns to accept your students, get the state to approve it, what does that do to the communities of Great Barrington, Stockbridge, and West Stockbridge? If you were looking to buy a home, would you buy a home that had a viable high school in that community, or would you go to another community that had a viable high school? And I think the answer to that is very clear. Some of the programs we're offering, the automotive, all the vocational programs, the horticulture, the electricity, and the early childhood prepare our own students and residents to live and work in our very communities, right? If you close the school, literally, you close doors and opportunities for our students, and I think the implications for the communities would be disastrous, right? Other people can speak in more detail to that.
Another question online, Tim Butterworth, Great Barrington. I'm curious if you've identified specific community events, series programming that would be an added benefit to property owners without children. In my honest opinion, the biggest problem with the plan is messaging. It would be great to have some more persuasive arguments for those seemingly uninterested in supporting our children's future.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tim suggests an important point, right? This is a generational opportunity to invest in our young people. There's several services that we all use at different points in our lives, and part of the social contract presumably is investing in those services, whether you're immediately taking advantage of them or not, right? Those things include police and fire and hospitals and public safety and parks and any number of other things. I think we can work on making that argument. I'm happy as an individual and resident to invest in Fairview, though I don't personally take advantage of Fairview that much, right? But when my father was living with us, he did, and I was happy to have that there as a resource. I think the same can be said for our own children or grandchildren. And then in many ways, the school's a hub of the community. We hold town meetings here. People come to performances and art shows. In good and bad times, people come to our athletic events, and there's a real sense of spirit around that. And I think that's part of being a community. Yeah, Bronley.
Bronley Boyd, Stockbridge. I'm curious to know how you would finance and fund repairs over the next 10 years. Would you be putting together your operating budget and a capital budget each year and ask the towns to pay for $5 or $10 million of repairs that year? Or do you have the option to get, you can't do bonds, can you?
Yeah, probably a combination of both. I think we'd really have to work out a scope of work and an implementation plan and how we'd phase the work in. And that's work we, our focus has been on the project as we're presenting it. If the vote were to fail, some group of people would do additional work on those possibilities.
But it just seems like it would be, I don't know, almost an impossible funding to go back each year and say, okay, now we're going to do $6 or $8 million more of capital improvements to bring the building up to whatever it needs to be brought up to. You can't get a 20-year bond to do a repair for $5 million.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think it would be very inefficient, and it would also be very complicated for people that are learning and working in the building to live through that. I mean, just the phasing of it is almost overwhelming.
If that has to be paid over a period of 3 or 4 years, the tax rate's going to be even worse than what a possible new building would be.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I can't imagine what that number would. I'd be interested to know if we could put that together at, let's say, $5 to $10 million each year for the next 7 or 8 years. That's going to be an interesting number to see.
Yeah, I think we can model that, and we'll come back to folks with that.
A question from Eileen Mooney. MSBA committed $59.9 million and says it might go to $61 million. Has it actually gone to $61 million since the August 27th board meeting letter?
So Nick will speak to this one.
Right. So the $59 million that they're referencing does not include contingencies. The $61 million includes contingencies. So if things come up during the project that we need to use those for to remain within budget, the MSBA reviews those costs when we submit them to them to decide if they will contribute their 55% reimbursement to it. So we don't know if it goes up as we go through construction. It's as we submit those costs that would be part of the contingencies.
And we're hoping, well, that was loud, and we're hoping as well that we do not use all of the contingencies and that a lot of that money is returned to the community at the end of the project.
No other online questions at this time.
One more.
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Ben Barrett. I'm on Locust Hill Road in Great Barrington. Thank you all for the insane amount of brain power you've spent on this project. It's mind-bending to think how much time you've spent on it, and I thank you for that. If I'm a simpleton, and it seems to me if we're going to spend $89 million one way or the other, then I would rather come away with a new school than putting Band-Aids on this particular building. If we're going to vote on the 4th whether or not to greenlight this expenditure on a new building, will you have to come back, and we say no, will you have to come back to us and say, okay, we want to repair it, we're still going to need $89 million. Will you need to come back to the townspeople for a green light for that repair?
Yeah, so if the vote were to fail, we would have to devise and fully phase a plan to do repairs and come back to you with that, probably in discrete pieces, trying to address some of what Bronley rose around how we would pay, bond, or borrow that out. Yeah, I mean, to me, the argument to do the new building, and obviously I've been working on this for the better part of probably 14 years, right? Or, I mean, I've been here for 17 years, maybe 15 years, we move forward with a new building and the educational opportunities are improved, and the safety's improved, and the sustainability issues are improved, and we get a building that at minimum lasts 50 years and maybe 70 years. I'm nervous if we do a piecemeal set of repairs on this building, that 10 years from now, we still have a almost 70-year-old building that's still 70 years old, and we don't have another 50, 60 years in that 70-year-old building. If this building was built 100 years ago, we might be having a very different conversation. But this building was built in a window where the systems and all sorts of things are failing. And Donna mentioned earlier that we have trouble getting parts for things. That's a really terrible spot to be in, right? They don't make the parts for some parts for the boiler they make, but some parts they don't. We wanted to do something with our intercom system, and we have a lot of thoughtful people working on it, and it's piecing together things from all over the country that got salvaged from buildings that were being taken down. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, you may have the last voice. Unless you're just stretching your back.
So, Scott McFarland, Great Barrington. And I look at the committee and a number of people on it representing the community, and I am basically putting my faith in them, knowing that they're all working hard towards creating something for this community and our kids. And my kids no longer, go to school here. They're 10 years out. They missed any renovation the first time around. And here we are talking about the same thing 12 or 13 years later. And I'm willing to, without getting into the weeds and about all the details of all the pricing and costs, trust the folks that we've put in charge and elected to our committees to act in our best interest for our community. And I look forward to this happening so that we don't have to talk about it anymore at this level. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we end there. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and thanks for asking such thoughtful questions.